So the film starts and we are shown a lab where plants were used to grow. Here all the plants that these people used to grow had a different kind of fragrance. Then we are shown a scientist Alice who was telling the head of lab that our body has a special kind of hormone. When we hug someone or love them, at that time our body makes that hormones called happy hormones. But apart from this, I have grown a special kind of flower in front of all these things. We can also call it a happy flower. Whoever will smell it, he will feel happy. And if we want to grow these flowers, we will have to do everything with love. Then these flowers will grow. We have to save it from sun, rain, everything. Then it will bloom and give us happiness. All the other scientists here were jealous because of Alice's achievements. The head of the lab appreciated her and said, if it works the way you are telling us, then we will keep your flower in the next exhibition. Alice also had a son. She was divorced woman. She used to live alone with her son. Her son often came to Alice's lab from school. When he was sitting in the lab, a scientist comes to him. He comes and tells Alice's son that your red shoes are very cute. To which Alice's son thanks him. Meanwhile, Alice had also come. After which she brings her son home. At night, the two of them eat together. Alice was always very busy with her work, and she couldn't even give her son the right time. But still her son didn't say anything to her, because he was very smart. While eating, he says to Alice, Mom, the one who works with you in your lab, whose name is Chris, I think he likes you. You should marry him. Hearing this, Alice starts laughing at her son's cute things. She says, Son, you haven't grown up yet to decide about your mom's life. After this, we are shown the lab scene. An old lady scientist, whose name was Bella, she used to work in the lab. She also had a dog, she often kept that dog with her. All the scientists had access to the lab through cards. But Bella doesn't have it. Then another scientist comes there and opens the lab. Bella and the scientist together starts researching on little blue flowers. On the other hand, Alice and Chris were researching happy flowers. Chris tells Alice to go with him to eat here. But she refuses. She says, No, I can't come. Look, we are very good friends. I don't want anything more than this. And whatever you think, get everything out of your mind. Then we see Alice's son, in which he was looking in the tank that he used to raise ants. It was his hobby. He mostly spent his time alone at home. So that's why he enjoyed doing strange and unique things. Alice comes home. She had brought a happy flower for Joy. She tells her son that if you talk to him nicely and take care of it, it will give you happiness. Which is also the name of this movie. So the story is of little Joy, a dangerous flower. Alice's son thought her mother was crazy. But still he starts talking to that flower. In the next scene, lab was shown, in which the blue flowers near Alice's flowers wither more than half. Bella says that all this happened because of Alice's flowers. As they start blooming, their bad effect is on other flowers, because of which they withered. Alice says no. Nothing like this happened because of my flowers. Alice says no. It can't be like this. I have done a lot of research on my flowers. Nothing will go wrong. Then head of lab says we will all wear masks in the lab until Alice proved that his flower nothing has to do with this mess. So that no one has any loss because of Alice's flowers. After some days, all the blue flowers in lab wither and die. Seeing this, Bella gets worried. Because all her hard work and research was wasted. That's when she sees that her dog is missing. She was wondering if he was left in the lab. That's why she sends Chris to the lab to find his dog. Because as we know, Bella didn't have the keys to the lab. Now when Chris goes to the lab, Bella's dog jumps on him. And by mistake he falls on Alice's flowers. He had smelled their fragrance and then starts sneezing. Now he had come out with the dog. Chris, who used to be quiet and scared. But now it was not like that at all. He had completely changed. Now he was not shy while talking. And all this was happening to him because of the smell of those flowers. On the other hand, Bella's dog was barking at him in the lab. And he also tries to bite him. Bella gets very scared. Because his dog had never done this. Alice tells him not to worry. Your dog will be fine soon. Chris, who was working in the lab, tells Alice not to pay attention to Bella. On the other hand, in Alice's house his son mostly stayed alone. So he made a friend on the phone. He used to talk to him on the message every day. He also shows him a picture of his tank, in which he had raised ants. Then he takes a selfie with the flower that Alice had made and sends it to that girl. And tells her the speciality of that flower. Oh wow, I also want to see that flower. Alice's son was so happy with his messages. He goes near and smells the flower, which made him allergic. When Alice's mom comes home and was calling her son to eat, son says, Mom, I don't want to eat, I have eaten. Alice gets a little upset to see his behavior, because his son had never talked to him like this. That's when the doorbell rings. It was Bella outside. Alice was a little upset to see him, because Chris had told her that he was a little crazy. She tells Alice that everyone's behavior is changing due to that flower. She shows her book and tells Alice, "Look, there is a part of the brain in the upper part of our nose, which keeps our mood good or bad. Like we smell something good, some special kind of fragrance, so we feel happy." Bella had explained so much and left. Alice now starts to doubt that flowers. She thinks that her son's behavior has not changed because of this. The next day, Lab's head scolds her because she started growing another batch of those happy flowers without permission. Head says, "What comes out of this flower? We don't know virus or anything else. And in this condition, you started growing more flowers." Alice says that I had given this happy flower to my son too. Nothing happened to him. Hearing this, the head was even more angry. He says, "Why did you do this? This is against the rules." When Alice comes home, her husband had come home to leave his son. Actually, his son had gone to live with his dad for a few days. And Alice's husband says to her that you spend the whole day in your research. Our son has completely changed. He doesn't seem like my son to me. Alice was now thinking that did this really happen because of smelling this flower on her son? Anyway, the next day it is shown in the lab. Alice was watching the videos of all those people on whom this flower was tested. It feels like I have grown up. I can make every decision myself. The girl's mom says that she is feeling a little too big. She says that my daughter was not like this before. Alice was worried after hearing all this. She came home and started thinking, does my son, Bella's dog, and Chris all change because of this flower? Is it true what my husband said about my son? When Alice was sleeping at night, his son stole the lab keys from him and entered the lab with his friend. He knew that the time he was going, the camera would not be on those flowers. He took his friend inside the lab and both went inside and started sniffing those flowers, which made him feel like he was growing up. He was thinking that he has grown up a lot. But suddenly the camera's direction turns towards them. The next morning, when the lab video was being watched, Alice and her team sees that a flower is missing. Then Alice's eyes fall on the red shoes in the video. She understood that her son has stolen the flower from here. There, Bella gives her a pen drive which had all those videos of those people on whom this flower was tested. Bella says, "Look, it's not too late to watch this video completely." When Alice watches those videos, she finds out that those people were speaking well about those happy flowers on which it was tested. But her family says that after smelling that flower, their behavior has completely changed. When Alice come back to home, she goes to her son's room. There was a girl in his room. She was talking exactly like a grown-up girl is talking. She calls them for dinner. While eating, Alice asks her son, "Why did you go to the lab that day?" Her son answers this question, "Obviously, you don't get time for me." He was very angry with Alice. He says that that's why I have decided that now I will stay with my dad. He takes his friend and leaves. When Alice was stopping him, he pushes his mom, because of which Alice's nose started bleeding. He says, "Oh mom, you are hurt. I'll get the plaster right now." Alice sees that her son and his friend are both standing and talking to that flower and also smelling it. It seemed as if they were intoxicated. Alice also sees Stan, in which all the ants were dead. The next day, Chris was fighting with Bella in the lab. He says that you killed some samples. Bella says, "It's nothing like that. I have been working in this lab for many years. The samples that are not right, they end themselves." Alice tells Chris that maybe Bella was right. I should stop the production of these flowers. Nature has this system that it reproduces everything. That is, it creates something like itself again. But I need to stop the production of those flowers. Because these flowers are making humans their slaves, who are fulfilling their desires through humans. Whoever smells it goes crazy. My son has started talking like a big man. I should stop this here. Chris says, "No, it's not like that at all. You know Bella, she talks like crazy. And your son is growing up anyway. That's why he must be talking like this. And you don't even spend time with him." Hearing this, Alice now thinks of spending time with her daughter. "And I am not a small kid who will go out with you." Hearing all this, Alice's belief was now confirmed. In the lab, a junior scientist who used to take care of the lab. He comes and tells Bella that my friend has had an accident. So tonight you take care of this lab. He gives the keys to Bella and leaves. The fragrance of the flowers had spread everywhere. Bella was wearing a mask on her nose. She tries to go out quickly, but she can't go. In the morning, it is shown that when Alice comes to the lab, Bella was talking to her with a lot of laughter. She says, "Oh sorry Alice. I said bad things to your flowers. Actually, I have a mental weakness. That's why it happened. Actually, there is nothing wrong with them. I am very happy because of those flowers. You have named them correctly. Happy flowers." Hearing her words, Alice was convinced that that flower does not give happiness. In fact, it keeps the human mind upside down. Alice now goes to a mental doctor where she tells him about herself and her son. The doctor says, "No, it's not like that. Oh, a flower, how can it do that? Your son is growing up. That's why his behavior with you has changed. You don't worry, everything will be fine. When Alice comes home, she sees that Chris was at her house where her son and her friend were also there. The three of them were sitting and talking together. Alice says to Chris that, "Why did you come to my house in my absence?" Actually, the three of them had smelled that flower. Alice tells Chris to go. On the way, he tells Alice that everything is fine, everything is normal, only you are going crazy. Alice was now thinking, am I really going crazy? Now she thinks that okay, that flower is the root of all this, I will finish it. You were right that these happy flowers will give people happiness, but more than that, happiness also becomes addiction and it is very dangerous for a person. When everyone was sitting in one place, Bella tells here that I didn't smell that flower. I deliberately changed myself so that I can explain to you that that flower is so dangerous. Bella ran away from there. Alice also follows her. Head and Chris also follow her. But when he was about to catch her, she fell down the stairs and died. Everyone was thinking that maybe she jumped on purpose and gave her life. Chris and Head come and tell Alice, so she couldn't believe what they were saying, that Bella herself gave her life. Then in the next scene, the head of the lab says to Alice that I have smelled your flower by myself and I am feeling very happy and we have to get ready for the exhibition soon. Alice was surprised to hear all this. She had known that everyone was in love with that flower. She goes there at night and lowers the temperature where the flowers were kept. When Chris comes and asks for the keys so that he can increase the temperature. But Alice refuses to give him the keys. He makes the temperature high and on the way, he also removed the mask from Alice's mouth due to which the flowers start to bloom there due to the high temperature. Her smell had spread everywhere and now she also smells Alice. When it was morning, Head was very happy. He says that Alice has been allowed to take your flowers to the exhibition. Everyone was thinking that Alice would not be happy to hear this. But she is also happy because she did not know that the addiction of that flower had now happened to Alice too. And finally she goes to the doctor of her mind and says that you were right, everything is fine. Now she was also with Chris. On the way, we also see that happy flower in the doctor's clinic. The doctor's assistant smells it and says that your company has made flowers. The heart became happy. It gives so much happiness that I had never thought. Finally, we are shown the flowers made by Alice, which makes Alice smile dangerously. What was going to happen next, no one knows. And with this, the story of this film ends here.